Hold on, where's? Hey, are you, Sarah? Over the prayer. What time you go over everything? We should be good. All right, we're ready?
Yes, and we, just a heads up, we already have a public comment call on the line.
Yeah, I just saw it. All right, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is our City of Palatka Community Redevelopment Agency meeting for October 12th, 2020. At this time, we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. I'm going to go and ask Commissioner Borum if you can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow your head, please. Dear Lord, I thank you for this day. Thank you for your grace and your mercy, and most of all, your unconditional love. I'd like to ask you just for the simple things in life, just life, health, and strength, Lord. As we conduct our meeting today, we ask for your guidance and that the decisions that we make today is pleasing unto you. And if it's pleasing unto you, it'll be pleasing unto all of us here on earth. We ask these things in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Ms. Kemp?
Here.
Commissioner Ross?
Did you call me?
Yes, sir.
I can barely hear y'all.
Can you hear me now?
That's a little bit better.
Do a roll call. You're here. Vice Mayor Brown. Commissioner Borum.
Present.
Commissioner McCaskill.
Here.
Commissioner Campbell.
Present.
Everyone hear me?
Barely, but yes.
All right.
Yes.
Everybody. So all members are present and we have a quorum. Moving on to approval of minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from the August meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as they are.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Campbell, a second by Commissioner Ross. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Questions called by Commissioner Borum. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to public comment. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No action will be taken on topics of discussion. Anyone here wishing to provide public comment, you can do so by calling in at 386-329-0100, or you can use the chat function on our YouTube live, or you can appear in person and come to the podium and give your name and address in either instance. Is there anyone here for general public comment at this time? I've got one caller on the line. I'll take that call first. Anyone else, again, 386-329-0100 or the YouTube chat. Caller, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you state your name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Lindy Rowe, and I live at 529 Kirby Street, Palatka, Florida, 32177.
Yes, ma'am. How can we help you today, Ms. Rowe?
Yes, sir. I would just like to respectfully address the board in regards to the TIF grant program. I know that it has kind of been in flux and that there is a new plan in place, but I just want to share a little bit of my heart story. I rented an apartment down in the South Historic District for 2 years, and I fell in love with the area. I watched a house from where I rented just deteriorate from being foreclosed upon. And I knew that many of these houses just sit here with people who live from out of town, or they don't actually live in them and take care of them. And I didn't want that for that house. So I started talking to my tenants about what could be done, and they mentioned the TIP program. And it was a huge consideration for me in actually purchasing that house and starting the renovation process. I plan on restoring it fully and living here in this house for as long as I can foresee. I just wanted to call in and just share that this program really does help. And I would love to be a part of, I think I read something about that there is possibly a workshop with stakeholders. If there's any way I could help in making sure that this program stays a viable part of this new CRA plan adoption, I would love to be a part of that. And because it really, it is a great program, and it does, I think, encourage people locally and people who want to actually live in those houses and restore them to actually take that plunge and take the risk. So I just want to say thank you for your time and consideration in that manner.
Okay, thank you for your call. Any comments from the agency based on what you've heard? So again, Ms. Rowe, thank you for an endorsement for TIP.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.
Is there anyone else in the chat? Seeing no one in the chat, we'll go ahead and close public comment if there's nothing else. So at this time, we'll close public comment. We'll move on to item number 3. We'll move on to item number 4 on the agenda, which is our regular business, or 3. On the regular business, discussion of memorandum of understanding between the City of Palatka and SBDC, partially funded with the Central TIF. And so we've got Ms. Lynch here from SBDC. And I guess in a nutshell, SBDC has been a good partner. The commission recently approved a contract and a partnership with SBDC. SBDC gets paid in 4 quarterly payments of $5,000. They provide significant services to our business community, and to our citizens as a whole, and providing advice as well as counseling and helping with startups and other areas. And particularly during COVID, they've been helping out with the emergency funding, EIDL, PPP, as well as some of the county's CARES Act stuff, as well as a community partner. And so it's our recommendation that we continue on with the partnership. I've got Ms. Janet Donaldson, who's also on Zoom. And so unless we have any comments from SBDC or our commission, where we are. Any comments, Ms. Donaldson, or anything you want to say?
I would just like to let you know, Mr. Mayor, that we have received the signed contract from Putnam County. So they have committed their funding to put in their portion of the match for the program as well.
Okay.
I would like to remind them that if we got the student ventilator going, that they would help us with technical stuff. That's still good.
Sure. She remembers that conversation from last week.
All right.
Any other comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Royal, second by Commissioner Ross. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Question.
Question called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously, a lot quicker. And so definitely, again, just as last time, we thank you for your partnership. We thank you for your continued work. And we definitely thank you for sending Ms. Lance down here. It's been a great partnership, and I think it's been an evolving relationship that just continues to get better. And so we're looking for more great things. And so
Thank you very much for your support as well. We couldn't do it without you.
So I was sharing with Lynn earlier today that I probably sent about 5 people to her in the last week. And so she said she was quick to let me know she's gonna repay the favor soon. And so, but definitely she has been a great help with the CARES Act stuff that's going on, as well as some of the business startups. And so we're we're excited about the relationship, and I'm glad that the relationship has evolved to what it is today, which is what we all envision. And so again, thank you all. While we're at this, so that I don't keep y'all here, I'm gonna take this item since we've got them on the hook right now. SBDC, if you want to give your report right now, so I won't keep you in here.
Can I come up there?
You can. I'll slide back.
You want me to slide?
You're good.
Is it on here?
Yes.
Shirley Lynch, 900 St. John's Avenue. Hopefully you guys got a copy of the final, so this is the whole year report in front of you. It's been a lot. That's all I can say. It's been a bit of a crazy time. We're gonna see a lot more business starts going forward because of what's going on in the economy, and businesses closing and people losing their job and not knowing what to do next. So we're looking forward to being here and continuing to help. I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
You have any questions from the agency?
No, just keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate all you, no, we just said we appreciate all that you guys do for us, and we certainly happy to have your asset.
And Ms. Lynch, just for the people who aren't privy to having a report in front of them, can you just give a couple highlights of some of the things that happened over the course of this last year?
Sure. So just in the city of Palaca alone, and this would not include businesses that use their home address instead of their business address. So it's just whoever reports their business with the address that's located within the city of Palaca. There were 46 jobs created and or retained. And retained means we may have helped them get PPP funding, EIDL funding, so they didn't have to close, and jobs are retained in that manner. 1.4 million, that's a lot lower. I know it's a lot more than that because the addresses are different. 3 new businesses started, sales increases of over $20,000. The 51 individuals that were consulted, 397 hours of consulting, which a lot of that was attributed to businesses that are already in business, small to medium-sized businesses that have been in business for at least 3 years or longer. Average time spent is about 7.8 hours. We had about 2 training events with 12 participants and lots of inquiries, outreach events, and things of that nature. We did have an award awarded to one of our businesses within Putnam County. Blueberry Hill Farms down in Crescent City participated in an undergraduate student project, and it won Project of the Year. So that was pretty exciting.
Wow.
A little short on success stories because I haven't had the time to go back and get them together. Other things have taken priority, but you'll see a lot more happening in this last quarter. There's a lot of funding coming into the county as a whole and the city.
Wow.
So yeah, lots. We're talking millions and millions that are coming in with. I've been dialing for dollars every day.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things coming down the road, and I'll be excited to report on them as soon as the client allows me to. So,
Absolutely.
And so again, thank you for the report. Thank you guys for the hard work that you put forth.
thank you.
So again, we look forward to the.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Donaldson.
Thank you.
Moving on to our other business. Our regular business, we have under other business, special events, cost share application for Porch Fest. South Story Neighborhood Association is the applicant.
Mr. Chairman, can I address this briefly before staff makes a presentation?
Yes, sir.
So 2 points, if I could. First of all, from a substantive standpoint, I would simply note that as of right now, the City Commission has not opened up special events, for lack of a better description, in the city of Palatka. So as of right now, if a special event application were made for the Porch Fest, I don't believe that, given the guidance we've received to this point, that staff would be approving it. Now, I think Commission has left itself room to reconsider as time goes by, but I don't know if that will leave sufficient time for planning. Secondly, I'm advised that the deadline for applying for cost share for this cycle would have been September 1. So I think the next cycle opens December 1. I think that from a technical perspective, that would mean that it would have to be a retroactive or reimbursement if it's approved. So I'll just bring those two topics before the commission, before staff moves forward to try to address this in any length, to ask what your guidance or wishes are in terms of staff moving forward with the presentation right now.
So I guess I'll take a stab at this. I was a bit confused myself as I saw this on the agenda, just because I know that the commissioner last week said that we were basically continuing as we have been throughout the pandemic as it related to special events permit. We were informed that Porch Fest was currently being advertised, but based on the posture that the commission took, it seemed as though there was significant concern for opening up special events at this time. We also talked about the fact that as time went on, we would come back and periodically look at those things. It seems to me that the proper course of action on this would be for us to push this until such time as the commission decides to open up the special events process. If that process is open, then we could always reconvene the CRA by way of a special call meeting to try to deal specifically with the issue. I don't think that, in light of the pandemic, that in any way, we would penalize Porch Fest based upon certain application periods being in place, and provide, and work with them as best we could at making sure that as the cost share program is in place, that we deal specifically with them and trying to work that out if it's so approved by the agency. But I just think that that's where we are. What's the pleasure of the agency? Anyone else on the board have a comment?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner, go ahead. Go ahead, Commissioner.
So if I'm understanding correctly, the application as presented would just be put on ice for right now until such a time that the city starts accepting or opening up for special events. Then this application would be considered at that time without having to be resubmitted. Is that correct?
That's my suggestion.
Okay. All right. Does it, not asking you to look in your crystal ball, but if you did, what do you think the city's looking at as far as special events being able to open up next year?
I can say, based on everything I've seen, I think that we're going to find ourselves probably sometime January, February, as it relates to what's in place, unless we see, a drastic overall.
Okay.
All the projections in that, there's going to be a second wave, another one. I won't say a second wave. So if there's going to be an additional major hit, it's going to be within that February period.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
Say what?
What's your thought?
No, I don't really I honestly haven't thought that far forward. I think the public would like to get back to life as close to normal sooner than later, obviously. We're coming into the flu season right now. Nobody knows how that's going to affect us. As far as the new cases, I don't think that we're experiencing a huge uptick, obviously, but nobody knows what the next couple of months is going to bring until we get to it. So, what date is set aside for Porch Fest exactly?
Sure.
That's the first Saturday of December 5th.
Okay. So I guess, from a logistics perspective, it'd probably be better just to let folks know right now. It looks like the city's going to not really have any special events between now and then take another look at it maybe in January. Because from a planning perspective, I don't know if they're going to go forward with their event without the funding. don't have any notion whatsoever what their finances are like. But are they allowed to do that if they decide to move forward without any funding from the city?
No, it triggers their event, triggers the special events process.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because the number of people attend. That's correct. Okay. Yeah, I would say in all fairness to the folks trying to host these events, and not just this one, you've got as you get closer to January, you've got Azalea Festival coming up in February. If they're planning on doing that, be able to put some timelines out there that they can look forward to, or know what to schedule or not schedule around.
Yeah, it's the first weekend in March for Azalea.
Yep.
But yeah, that's where we are. The commission's taking the safe approach, making sure that as we continue to reopen, for lack of any other term, as Florida is wide open, that we begin to make sure that we keep the conscious safeguards in place. When you look at what we're doing from where we stand from a health perspective, from the age of the community as a whole, and also where we are with people with pre-existing conditions. And so that's the approach that we've taken as a commission here, just to try to make sure that we don't find ourselves opening up a can of worms and having crowds that we can't control and even maintain social distancing in the proper manner. So that's been the conversation that we've had as a commission. And so that's where we are. And I think until the commission takes the position to reopen the special events process, there's really not much that we can do from an agency standpoint.
I agree.
This is Danny. So following up on what Commissioner Rawls has stated, it would seem that there will be no Christmas parade, but in light of the Azalea Festival, they would, if they were going to have the festival the first weekend of March, they're contacting their vendors now. They won't be contacting the vendors in March. They're going to be sending out notices and lining up vendors now. So if our position is we won't have any events until after February or March, we need to let the folks know that this is the case, that no Christmas parade and no ability to plan for the event in March. And what about the fishing tournaments? Are they already canceled? Have they already been canceled?
I think it's important for us to know that as a commission at our last meeting, we made a vote to revisit these things every 2 weeks. So I think it would be not in our best interest to say that we're canceling all of those things again when we are just monitoring these things week by week.
No, sir, I truly appreciate that, but also understand that in order to pull the Azalea Festival off, they have to notify vendors and they have to start signing them up now. So what's the advice that I give to the group?
I think it would be more on the lines of that we are monitoring those things and then in contacting those individuals that they are aware. I'm quite sure everyone is aware of what we have going on. So in the event that it's not going to go forth, they will be, aware full enough in advance.
I mean, the only advice you can really give is that we're in the middle of a pandemic, hoping for a vaccine or some medical breakthrough as it relates to what's going on, because everybody's dealing with uncharted territory. And every day, this thing is fluid. And so no one could have told us immediately after the Azalea Festival last year, a week later, that we'd be locked down until now. And so, while everybody wants to plan, I can't plan tomorrow because we don't know what's going to happen between today and tomorrow. It's we've all been kind of held hostage, for lack of any other term, to what's going on. And we're going to continually take whatever safeguards are in place, no matter how unpopular they may be. For as much as we love Azalea Festival, as much as we love the Christmas parade, we are going to make sure that we take the high road in protecting our citizens first, because there's 43 of our citizens that are no longer here because of COVID. And yesterday we reported another 20 cases. So I'm hoping that in 2 weeks we can tell you all is well and we can go back to planning all this stuff. But we'll revisit it and continually, and we'll try to do the best that we can. That's all we can do. And if we have to reconvene with it and take something as an emergency item here to get an event off, we'll do what we have to do. We'll take whatever steps are necessary to try to make some of this stuff happen, but we're not going to be hasty in any decision making.
But we're not canceling Christmas, correct?
Well, you can still have Christmas, but you can deliver the presents to my office and then we'll distribute them. So yeah, that's where we are. Just put sanitizer on the boat. But that's what we're doing. But I will need a motion on this item so that we need to call it back up again.
I'd make a motion, we table this until such a time that we can actually take action on it and know that the event can take place.
Okay.
I second.
It's a motion on the floor and a second by Ms. Kim. Any further discussion?
Question.
Call in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Wish we have better news, Mr. Russo.
Yeah, no, it's whatever they want to do. If they doesn't want to have a festival, just can't. But it is set up and it is ready to go. We have all the musicians, all the porches, all the sponsors, all the food vendors. I mean, it is set ready to go. So, should I cancel it? I mean, if you want to cancel it, I'll just cancel it.
Did you cancel it or should you postpone it? Those are two different things.
Well, it depends on, I need some guidance here. Like I called you.
Just
gave some guidance.
Because that's the only guy we can get
Yes.
right now.
I have one question though, in regards to crowd control. I went to a high school football game. It was packed. The stadium was packed with people. So I don't quite understand why we're allowing the football games to go on, but yet an outdoor event like the Sports Festival, people have all kinds of rooms spread out, would be lesser of an event.
Well, I know the Tennessee Titans and the New England Patriots who have billions of dollars actually just closed their facilities down and they play football. So maybe
That's
that's
what I'm
why.
saying. I just went to the football game, I saw it was packed.
Yeah.
But that's the risk people take.
Well, we don't
And
condone,
if you can crowd
They're not
control by the
really
number of
getting
tickets you
each
sell
other
and the number of people being injured, so you can kind of.
we don't condone, and they supposed to have social distancing based on the CDC guideline. So if they're violating that, then that's just on them. But as it relates to what the position the city has taken, we're looking out for the best interests of the people that we serve.
Of course.
So much for football. We're gonna move on to the next issue. So, Mr. Russo, before we get to the update, since I already got you here, anything from South Tip?
Mr. Russo, come to the podium, Mike, please.
It can.
Yeah. I was thinking here.
Now, come on. Yeah.
You have to turn the mic on as well.
Turn the mic on?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Vito Russo, 415 Emmett Street. I'm the president of the South Historic Neighborhood Association. In regards to your question, Mr. Mayor, the South Tip, there are a lot of folks that express interest in it. And they'd like to get it reinstated, at least the House Improvement Program portion of the TIP program. And I think that we're in the midst of reforming the program, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just I just want to express the interest that the neighborhood has in the program, as Ms. Rowe expressed earlier in this meeting. So.
Anything else for your report?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I get it.
Moving on to our SNME report on the CRA plan update.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hill. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the Palatka CRA Governing Board. John Jones here from SNME Project Manager for the Palatka CRA Plan update. I just wanted to give you a brief update with regards to activities that have been taking place the past couple weeks. We have our workshop coming up on October 27th, about 2 weeks out, Tuesday, October 27th at the Azalea Brewing Company. It's going to be an all-day open house from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. And we will also have a virtual option going simultaneously for people that want to participate but don't want to go outside and want to stay home and participate at the same time. So we'll be sending out the notices and invitations to the city this week. Other items that have been happening have been the existing conditions analysis being completed, a review of the CRA accomplishments, and also the development of the Palatka CRA Plan Update website. The website will be rolled out next week also, and that will have a schedule outlining all the activities that are going to be done. It will also have an online platform where people can submit their ideas and input. It's called Social Pinpoint, so they'll have a map where they can virtually leave ideas on the map and read other ideas that people have left there and comment back and forth between the two. So we have the existing conditions completed, CRA accomplishments completed, the website under development. We have the workshop coming up on the 27th and the virtual workshop that'll be simultaneous. We're already in coordination with the brewing company representatives. It will be a socially distanced event. We will have hand sanitizers and face masks available for all participants as they arrive. Next week's activities include the stakeholder outreach to the various stakeholder groups, and Ms. Tucker has indicated we need to contact and invite personally. And then also the rollout, the finalization, rollout, and posting of the website. That is all, sir.
Any questions or comments? None. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mayor Hill.
We look forward to the upcoming updates next week.
Thank you.
Next up, St. John's Avenue Streetscape update for mayors and associates on final design.
Hey, can you all hear me?
Sir.
Awesome. I'm going to leave my screen off so you guys don't have to see my face. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully save on some bandwidth by closing my screen off. So give me 1 second here. Can you all see that?
We can.
Perfect. So following up from a meeting we had about 2 months ago in August, there was a few things you wanted us to take a look at. I'm going to go through those today, but to give you an idea, we're going to first go through, I'm just going to bring you guys back up to speed where the St. John's Ave improvements are at, some of the side street design. Then we'll be diving into traffic control and looking at drainage options as well. So if you remember from our previous discussion, the proposed improvements for St. John's Ave include a variety of things, including bump outs to help slow traffic down, mill and resurfacing the roadway, paved pedestrian improvements, and then additional amenities like new trash cans, benches, bike racks, stuff like that. The proposed improvements are expected to go from 4th to 13th, and they'll vary from the type of improvements through that entire corridor. So in certain blocks, you'll have more bump outs, and other blocks you'll have additional or less bump outs. And that's partially because of just the amount of just the design of the streetscape. At intersections, there'll be bump outs. And then in between, we'll try to do as many bump outs as possible, keeping in mind that we're not going to reduce any of the parking along St. John's Ave as well. But with those proposed improvements, we do have to turn the corner and go on the side streets with some additional improvements just to help with functionality in the future. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about today was in the future, what we're proposing is going to potentially doing angled parking on the side streets to help increase the amount of parking. This would not only increase the amount of parking, but also add some additional amenity spaces at the corners. We would like to build some of the, if you can see my cursor here, we'd like to build some of those additional bump outs in this proposed first phase. But keep in mind that in the future, we'll need to build in additional bump outs to accommodate the angled parking. So all those side streets will be future. To help you give you an idea of how that would function, I've put together a couple of graphics here. So it'd still be two-way vehicle circulation on the side streets. It's just that one direction of traffic would be able to access that angled parking. So this direction of traffic would not be able to access that angled parking. But what we're working through right now is sort of this circular design. So parking's accessible from a lot of different angles. So as you go down this street and turn the corner, angled parking would be going the other direction to make it convenient and accessible.
You, Vice Mayor Brown asked about the bump outs. Can you just point to the bump out so she can see that again and kind of give her?
Sure. I go into it in additional detail later that highlights it a little bit better, but these are the bump outs right here.
Taking the trees out.
Oh, so you're gonna move those out?
Take the trees out and put them into the streets to make.
Sorry, what was that?
You put them in the street.
I'm getting a little bit of chatter there in the background.
About the bump out, so the bump outs actually come out into the street a little bit, into the roadway area from the curb.
Can you talk about slowing traffic down St. John's? The traffic is not that bad.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that last question.
You were saying you were talking about slowing traffic down on St. John's, the traffic wasn't that fast.
Oh, gotcha. So bump outs are there for a couple of different reasons. By narrowing down the roadway, we make it feel a little bit tighter, and it will help slow traffic down. You're right, it's not that fast, but when there's no vehicles parked on the side streets, and when it's wide open, that roadway feels like it's been designed for a much higher speed. And through different studies and research, people have found out that vehicles tend to drive faster in those roadways. So by narrowing down the streetscape with bump outs, we're able to slow traffic down. Plus, the way the roadway is designed right now and the limited amount of space we have from building face to building space, the available square footage or real estate for planting trees is pretty narrow. So by doing bump outs, we can push those trees out into the parking stall lanes, basically, or the parking stalls, and allow those trees to get much bigger, provide more shade, make it a much more habitable environment for pedestrians.
Okay. This is Danny. So I have two questions, if I might.
Yes.
Okay. So by putting in the parallel parking, you indicated that it would increase parking, but it's clear that you've eliminated parking on both sides of the street. So how much additional parking does it actually gain on the side streets by adding the angled parking? How many more parking spaces have they actually gained by parking on one side and not both?
I can't say for the entire streetscape. I can only give you a for instance into the specific block we looked at. Mm-hmm. So for instance, in one block we looked at, and it's on the sheet right here, it's pretty small text. There was 13 existing parking stalls and we went to 17. Now that could vary from block to block, depending on curb cuts, utility lines, whatever might be in that side street. But to give you an idea, that is kind of what we're,
so a net gain
four
of
additional stalls per block.
Four more. Okay. So in talking with some of the businesses down on the 700 and the 600 block, they had attended a meeting previously where the streetscape was being discussed. And they indicated to me that they objected to having the bump outs on St. John's Avenue because clearly it reduces the amount of parking available on St. John's Avenue, and that today that is truly an issue for anybody who has a business on St. John's. And they tell me that they had an expectation to have a follow-up meeting to be able to discuss with you the issue of the bump outs and to see your more formalized designs. Will they have that opportunity to discuss that with you?
Yes.
And so you have a meeting scheduled with those business owners in that area?
Not right now, because it's, COVID, we're kind of playing it by wing, but Mandy and Jonathan, I'm sure you would agree that if there's other issues that have come up, we'd want to schedule a meeting with some of those businesses to clarify this. But before we dive into that, I just want to clarify one thing because it does look like we're getting rid of parking on St. John's Ave, but actually we're not getting rid of parking. So we looked at the existing conditions, and there's a few areas we're just able to add bump outs without affecting any of the parking currently. So anytime you have an intersection like this, you can't park that close to the intersection. So these are areas where they're just dead space that we're activating with a bump out.
So
and then anywhere you have like a curb cut coming out onto a streetscape, like in this side street here, you can do a bump out at each one of those.
Okay.
Plus, we've also found out that your existing parallel parking is about, I think it's 28 feet long, which is really long and is not anywhere near your city standards or industry standards. And we propose reducing that length to about 24 feet, which is more than accommodating.
Right.
But would it give us some additional square footage to add those bump outs in?
Okay. So I'm sure that when you meet with them that you can convey, because this is the concern they're expressing to me whenever I tried to show some of the preliminary work with them, and so they're going to have questions, and that truly needs to be clarified with them. Okay. But I'm in agreement with them. I have a shop downtown, and parking downtown Palatka is atrocious. And we just need some sort of solution. And if this gets us more parking spaces, then I'm sure that they will be very interested in how you're going to accomplish that.
Okay. That sounds really good. If there's no other questions on that, I'd like to shift to traffic control.
Okay, go ahead.
The previous meeting we had, you wanted us to take a look at a few different traffic control options to add so that events could be hosted downtown, so you could close down a street in a variety of different ways. So on the sheet, you'll see a variety of amenities that we're proposing. One of those options is a retractable bollard. So at certain intersections, we will potentially be putting in some sort of permanent traffic control system that allows the bollard to go down into the ground and then pop back up. This is what we're proposing right now. Keep in mind that we still have to go through an estimate budget. We still have to go through bidding process. So we may be coming back to you down the road with a different solution based on, how this plays out. But what we're looking at is in a few different areas going with a more permanent solution. So if you look at this plan here, what we're proposing as well is potentially doing those more permanent solutions in the community event area out in front of the courthouse. This offers some, this is a great location for a variety of different reasons. First of all, you can close down this area without closing down a side street. Plus it's a great location for public parking if that event is hosted there. I know previously some of the craft beer festivals were hosted in the parking lot. So it's a great location. Plus we can expand that area to the west with limited amount of impact as well. So if it's a larger event that has needs more square footage, the potential to close down this 6th Street and eliminate, just simply one through vehicle circulation would limit the amount of impact to vehicle circulation through downtown. So it adds flexibility in the layout, plus it adds a little bit of permanence. We are also, so keep in mind as we look at the entire streetscape, the way we're designing it now is that it's adaptable and flexible over time. And I feel like that's relevant now more than ever as we think about COVID. So if events feel like they need to be or want to be hosted in a certain block, what we're designing is infrastructure like electrical hookups, lighting, vehicle circulation so that they can be hosted in there. However, the traffic control that we're proposing at those is more of a movable barricade. And the reason is you don't want to put those more permanent things in through the entire streetscape. You want to make it so that it's more flexible. Is there any questions on that? If not, I'm going to dive into the drainage portion of the discussion.
Questions?
Oh, we have an ordinance that says you can't put stuff on the sidewalk we need to look at. I wanna bring that up to them, so as they do the planning, we may have to go in and change the ordinance. It happened a while back because people said that folks were putting tables and stuff, and they were flowers and other stuff out and advertisements out, and they were tripping over them. So we did it, and I think as they plan, we better look at making the change on how our sidewalks are going to be used.
You're expanding the walkways, right? There's a plan to expand walkways, right?
We will be, so the area from the back of curb to face of building will remain the same, but by doing those bump outs and pushing trees towards the street, we're able to make it feel like it's wider. We're giving more space to pedestrians.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I just got to go through drainage really quick. So going back to the bump outs and their locations, because they're going to be going into the street and we're proposing to keep existing curb and gutter, we'll be adding bump outs along the way. So what we're going to do is we have a variety, we have 3 different options to kind of solve this solution. One is we have just an open trench drain like this. Now water would allow to basically drain the way it does existing. The other option is we cover that trench drain with a metal grate. Now that I think is more appealing, but it does come with a little bit of a maintenance issue. It has to be cleaned out more often because it'll get clogged with leaves or debris of some kind. And the third is sort of like a hybrid where you have open trench in some areas and then covered trench in other areas. So you can see it in this option here and then in this option here as well. All of them are kind of designed so that we don't have to spend a lot of money on stormwater improvements at this time. So we don't have to relocate stormwater drains. All we have to do is provide those trench drains in accurate locations. But those exact locations will be worked out once we get the final survey in place.
Covered trench minimizes trip hazards, right?
What's that?
The covered trench would minimize trip hazards.
You are correct, yes. Is there a preferred solution here that you would like to see? Would you like to see the covered trench everywhere? A hybrid system where we're only putting those covered trenches in areas where we feel like it's a hazard?
I mean, I guess I'm always for minimizing our liability. So that at the end of the day, we don't find ourselves cutting corners on the front end or reducing costs on the front end and picking it up on the back end with litigation costs. That's just my thought. I don't know if anybody else has a thought.
I have one question. Well, he mentioned about the not spending a lot of money up front in terms of the storm drains from a permanent standpoint, but the temporary storm drain that you're putting in, would that cause any issues as it relates to the water buildup or runoff or whatever it may be for the temporary drains that you're putting in versus the long term?
No, it wouldn't. We would, and that's a good question. We would look at the stormwater levels and the flow levels and verify that this opening, whether it's this design or this design, can accommodate the storm levels, water levels to whatever that streetscape or inlet's been designed to. So if it wasn't clear from these images, essentially the way that design works is the water flows like it does today along the curb and gutter, turns the corner to go around to a storm inlet. But we'd be re-looking at that to make sure that this opening can accommodate all that flow.
Any other questions for the agency?
I don't have any.
Okay. No more questions on drainage.
So that is all I've got. So if the plan looks good to you, and you are okay with it, we can move forward with the design.
Good to me. Let's see. Any comments from the agency?
I couldn't quite hear you, but if you're asking for comments, I'd really like feedback from the business owners along those streets and comments to this proposed plan first.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too. I like to see what they say. I got problems on St. John's, but it won't affect that much because we back off the street. But I'd like to see, because when they did the first 3 blocks, the folks that had businesses downtown were upset because our folks like to park in the door, and they felt like they had lost some business because there was not enough parking on St. John's in front of their businesses for them. So that might be something they need to see how they feel about it.
Just take a trip to the city and realize that it's a privilege to have parking in front of your business. It's a luxury to have parking in front of your business.
Well, if we go out of town, we park and walk 10 miles, but
Right.
when we in town, that was some of the comments that we gotten before from the downtown merchants.
You got a parking problem, you got a good problem.
Yeah.
And so that's the first part we're gonna understand, because if there's traffic, there's opportunities to sell.
Yeah. The foot traffic, you love to have some foot traffic too.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it kind of falling into the foot traffic kind of thing. But I don't know.
And I think that's the purpose of the bump outs, to
That's the-
increase more.
Part
Yeah.
of it is to get the merchants to stop parking in front of their business. So they're not parking there. So, I think it's an education piece as well.
Yeah.
And so, we had to do it in mile, with street parking, off-street parking mile. We got to teach people not to take up the parking spots for potential customers. So, like, you should be inconvenienced and not your customers. And so it's all about education and all of it. And I think aside from hearing from all our stakeholders, there's an obligation to really educate folks on some of this stuff as we move forward, because change is not coming. And so at the end of the day, the longer we delay this project, the longer it's going to take for us to get to that phase where we start to attract more folks in.
I'm waiting for the trees to come. I'm excited about having.
So we can actually move forward if you want at this point, and say we can move forward and approve the concept subject to input from the business owners. I think that's what we're basically saying at this point.
Second.
And that'd be a motion from my other meeting.
So moved.
I make a motion that we move forward with the plan.
She already made a motion.
Second.
Motion's already made by Commissioner McCaskill to move forward with the plan, subject to approval from the business owners after they've had a stakeholder meeting. And there's a second by Commissioner Moore. Is there any further discussion on this motion?
Thank you. I think that's a great solution. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you, Ms. Kemp.
Question.
Questions called by Vice Mayor Brown. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Just for the record, Commissioner Ross had to go to another meeting. He got that in the chat. And so motion carries unanimously. And I'm glad that we can take another step forward on this concept and without any more delays.
Thank you all. I appreciate it very much. I will talk to Mandy and Jonathan and get that meeting scheduled, and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Solution.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
before we move on, real quickly, if I might, the bollards, is there a specific location that the board would like staff to focus on as we move forward with design and cost?
We'll defer to staff on that. I think both you and Jonathan have significant amount of exposure to special events. Jonathan, both of you are very familiar with what takes place. We were actually, when I initially suggested the bollards, I was thinking the removables because of the cost of the retractables. But if the budget allows for it, then I'm fine with the retractables. I think whichever concept makes the most sense for us overall. Once we start looking at costs and if the budget tightens up, we can always look at the ones that we can remove and put in place.
And I thought that's something that we discussed the last time that you mentioned, and they were supposed to get back with us on that.
We did, and I think the proposal was that it looks like it may be feasible to put them in as the retractables. So that's kind of.
Just to give you a little bit more clarity on that too, it's not like it's an automatic one where you push a button and they go down. It's hydronic, so it's you're able to push it down with your foot, and then lock it into place. And then when you unlock it, it pops back up. But it's more of a manual kind of hybrid solution.
It works. We'll take care of that. That works for us. If they get anything, that's great from what we initially proposed. But I definitely appreciate you looking into it and coming up with an upgraded solution to what we suggested.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, we got a question on the, he said if it's a manual lock, is there a way you can lock it so that nobody can?
Yeah, they lock it. They lock it.
Yeah, it's locked basically with a key. So.
Okay.
They lock it. They can't just access and get them up.
Right, I just didn't want, any resident or somebody who's visiting to be able to kind of, if they know how that process worked, to be able to put it down. Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Look good.
All good. So yeah, we're looking forward to the next steps.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great job, guys. Last up, Ms. Kim, it's on you for CBD report.
Sorry, I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay, so we've gone through all of our reports. She's not here. She's already indicated she wouldn't be here for North Tip. Ms. Tucker, Mr. Griffith, Mr. Holmes, anything from you guys?
Not at this time, no.
Not for me either.
Okay, so from that standpoint, we'll go to the agency. Ms. Kemp, you got anything? Anything else?
Sorry, I'm having trouble with that pesky mute button. No, sir, I don't have anything.
All right, Commissioner Campbell.
I have nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Bora.
Nothing else to add. Thank you, sir.
Mr. McCaskill.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Vice Mayor Brown. Nothing from me as well. We were now almost at 5:57. If there's a motion, we'll stand adjourned.